Hello, everyone. I am back as promised with my next topic, drafting legal opinions. Now, in order to explain drafting legal opinions, what I have decided is that I will take a factual situation, which would be a kind of an hypothetical query which your client may have posed to you, and then discuss further how a template to answer this query would look like. Now, imagine ABC Private Limited, it's a startup. It provides cabs for hire to companies for the transport of their employees. In the wake of COVID-19, this company approaches you to advise them regarding the termination of their employees. As everybody is working from home, ABC Private Limited is not able to give out its cabs for hire. It does not have the need for its employees or the drivers anymore. And it wants to save its costs because it's not generating any revenue. Now, how would you advise ABC Private Limited? The first thing which you should write in your legal opinion is facts. Now, ABC Private Limited came to you with the facts which I have stated in the previous slide, which is this. Now, it's obvious that that's not the only thing basis which you render legal advice. You would most probably have a conference call with the client, or you would most probably go to the client's office, meet them, talk to them, get to know about the actual situation on ground. Information such as how many employees do they have, how many employees do they want to retrench, terminate, or lay off, what is the role of each of these employees, who falls within the category of a workman, who falls within the category of a non-workman, etc. So in the course of this client conferencing and communication, there could be a plethora of facts which you would be told. Now, while stating the facts, there are two things which you should keep in mind. First is that you should always state the facts with the prefix I understand. Now, this is because as a lawyer, you would understand the facts which the client is telling you. You have not created the facts yourself. You are only understanding what the client is telling you. So if you write, I understand that ABC Private Limited is a startup, it is engaged in so and so forth, then it would be something where your liability is going to get slightly reduced in case of anything which happens later. Because you are only reflecting what you are understanding from the client conference, the client communication. Second is relevant facts. Now, as I stated before, there could be a plethora of information coming your way. What you need to do is separate the grain from the chaff. You need to separate the relevant facts from the plethora of other information which is coming your way. So in the course of communication, there could be a lot of information which is being told to you. You do not need to repeat everything in your legal opinion. Just write pointed, pertinent, to the point, specific facts which are relevant to the query or the queries at hand. Now, second is state the queries. After you are done with facts, write the queries. Now, there could either be 3 to 4 small questions which the client has posed to you, or there could be one broad question. They just come to you saying, I want to terminate my employees. Tell me the legal risks involved and my options. Now, that's a very broad query. So you can always break it up into smaller sub-queries. For example, you can talk about how can they terminate non-workmen? How can they terminate workmen? Can they do layoffs? If they do layoffs, then what is the legal risk involved, etc. So you can break up the query which they have posed to you into smaller sub-queries, and you can post it in the legal opinion. Now, you should always, the next thing which basically comes is stating the law. Now, what you should always do is that you should state the law in a very brief and succinct manner. What I have normally seen is that people would reproduce statutes, they would verbatim copy laws and legislations from the statute book, and they would paste it in their legal opinion. Now, for instance, in this case, you may be referring to a lot of employment legislations. So if you end up cutting and pasting Section 25F of the Industrial Disputes Act, which deals with retrenchment, now as a layman client, if I was your client, I would not understand what Section 25F says. I would not understand the legalese which has been given there. Therefore, whenever you are stating the law, you explain to the client the basics and the most relevant parts of the law. So you should tell them who is a workman. You should tell them who is a non-workman. You should tell them what laws are applicable to them, etc. Then case laws. Now again, another thing which I have noticed is there are a lot of case laws which are stuffed into a legal opinion. As a client, I am not going to understand what case laws are or what is their relevance. And especially if you take up a 2-line ratio from a judgment and you paste it in your legal opinion, I am not going to understand how is it relevant in the entire scheme of things. So what you need to do is you need to explain to me the legal proposition held in the courts in simplest possible manner so that I understand what the judge is trying to say, and then maybe put a footnote in the end wherein I can actually refer to the case and then understand the entire judgment if I want to, as in, like, you know, if the client might not want to go back and read the entire judgment because that's why they hired you in the first place. So you can put a footnote there for their ease of reference. If they want, they can actually go back and read the case. If they want to rely on you, it's their choice. Next is legal analysis. Now, legal analysis is the most important part. So the first thing which you should do is you should specifically address each query. So if you have 3 to 4 queries addressed to you, you should mention the query, you should start writing, and you should address each query specifically, do a risk assessment of each query, and provide the way forward and how to reduce or mitigate these risks. For example, in the given fact situation, if the query is that how can I terminate my employees and what are the legal options available to me? So you should start with, so you've already told them who's a workman and who's a non-workman. You can start off by saying that we understand that you have more than 100 employees, for example. So therefore, in accordance with the, you can refer to the section above because you would be talking about sections in the stating the law part. So then you don't need to re-explain the section again in the analysis. So you can just say, for instance, in according to the statute or in accordance to the provision stated above, the following regulatory approvals would be required to retrench or terminate a workman. Then you can move on to say how they can, what are the risks which they would entail. So firstly, like because it's a COVID crisis, a lot of people are going to get terminated and fired. Government may not give approval that easily because this will lead to a huge loss of employment. So that could be a risk there. Also, apart from this, you can also talk about how can they mitigate this risk. So you can tell them the various options that they may have so as to reduce this risk which may accrue to them in case they follow in case they retrench a workman. So you should basically go on addressing each issue specifically, talking about what the law is, how will the law apply to them, if they choose that option, what are the risks which may entail, and then tell them how can they reduce or avoid these risks and what should they preferably do. Now, typically, while writing a legal opinion, you should not use the word you should do this, because then again, that would come to you later on. If they do that and if something happens, they might just come and sue you and they might just say that you told me to do this. Always use the word may. You may do this. This will give the client an option to choose whether to follow your advice or not follow your advice. The disclaimer also comes in picture here, wherein at the end of every legal opinion, you should have a disclaimer which says that this is to the best of my knowledge, to the best of the facts which were told to me. So that way, this is basically mitigating your own liability while you are giving someone else a legal opinion. Hopefully, you understood what a template of a legal opinion is. In case you need more information on this, feel free to reach out to me. I will be able to provide you with further inputs. In case you want a written material around this, I'm free to provide the same. So thank you, and watch out for the space as I'm coming out with a new and interesting video on coronavirus. The next video, I would be discussing the statistical analysis of coronavirus. It's a non-legal subject, but I'm hoping it would be of interest to you guys. Thank you. Stay safe. Stay home.